The winter season heralds the arrival of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. This year, the holiday begins on the night of December 25, 2024, coinciding with the Hebrew date of 25 Kislev, while the last day is January 2, 2025. Incidentally, it also overlaps this year with Christmas Day. Dating back to ancient times, Hanukkah is not one of Judaism's most important or holiest holidays, but it is one of its most well-known. Some aspects of Hanukkah have always stayed the same, such as the emphasis on light, remembering historic miracles, and the idea of making the Festival of Lights something very public. However, the 8-day holiday has evolved over the centuries and includes a multitude of different rules, traditions, and practices. Here is everything you need to know about Hanukkah. A giant menorah stands in front of a Christmas tree at the Brandenburg Gate to celebrate Hanukkah in Berlin December 16, 2014. What is the meaning of Hanukkah? Unlike many other Jewish holidays, Hanukkah does not date back to biblical times. Rather, it is instead in the books 1st and 2nd Maccabees, which are not considered canonical in Judaism but are deuterocanonical in the Orthodox and Catholic churches. It is also mentioned in rabbinic sources. The story of Hanukkah is set in the Second Temple era and focuses on what became known as the Maccabean Revolt. The Seleucid Empire triggered this revolt under King Antiochus IV Epiphanes, who attempted to forcibly Hellenize the Jews. He forcibly fought against Jewish religious practices. In this period, the Seleucids forcibly took over Jerusalem and desecrated the Second Temple with pagan rituals. Eventually, a group known as the Maccabees formed and began fighting a guerrilla war in rural regions. This rebel movement, which soon became a full-fledged army, was led by the sons of Mattathias, Mattishu, a Cohen from Modi'in. This family, known as the Hasmoneans, was itself led by the third son, Judas Maccabeus, also known as Judah Maccabee, after his father's death. Despite being outnumbered, Judah was able to lead the Maccabees to victory after victory in the field until his eventual death in the Battle of Elasa. Ultimately, it would be Simon Thasai who would eventually manage to liberate the land from Seleucid control, creating the Hasmonean dynasty and creating the first independent Jewish state since the Kingdom of Judah's conquest at the hands of the Babylonians. But Hanukkah does not just celebrate this incredible military victory. Rather, there is also the miracle of the oil. Images of Hanukkah are splashed on the walls of Jerusalem's Old City. The legend of the oil of Hanukkah. As the legend goes, upon recapturing Jerusalem, the Maccabees had to rededicate the desecrated Second Temple. Part of this meant lighting the menorah. However, only one container of usable oil was found, just enough for a single night. It would be over a week before more usable pure oil would be ready. However, miraculously, the oil ended up staying lit for 8 days, lasting long enough for more to be ready. This successful rededication of the temple is, in fact, the reason for the holiday's name, Hanukkah, which is rooted in the Hebrew word for dedication. What does Maccabee mean? The term Maccabee is derived from Judah's own epitaph, but its exact origins are debated. One belief is that it is from the Aramaic word Maccabah, which means the hammer. Others say it is an acronym, referring to either the Mattishu ha-Cohen ben Yochanan, Mattathias the Cohen, son of Yohanan, which would be abbreviated as MKBY, or of the Maccabees' battle cry, Mi hamoha Baalim wh, which means who is like you among heaven, O God, and would be abbreviated as McBay. What are the blessings of Hanukkah? The big focus of the 8-day holiday is lighting candles. Technically, the only requirement is for one person in a household to light a single candle each night. However, this holiday is also associated with the idea of going above and beyond. Typically, every member of a household would light candles on a Hanukkah, starting with one candle and adding another each night. The term menorah is actually just the Hebrew word for lamp in general. A Hanukkah, unlike a menorah, has 8 candles, as well as an additional candle to serve as the shamash, which is used to light the others, although some Sephardi and Hasidic Jews light the shamash last. Ideally, the candles should stay burning for at least half an hour. After lighting and saying the appropriate blessings, people sing the song Maoz Tzur, or Rock of Ages, which tells the story of several important moments in Jewish history, such as the Exodus from Egypt, the story of Purim and the story of the Maccabean Revolt. Hanukkah and donuts. Illustrative, how is Hanukkah celebrated, and what foods are eaten? An important aspect of the holiday, though, that sets it apart from most other Jewish holidays is the traditional custom of publicizing the mitzvah. Essentially, Hanukkah shouldn't be something practiced privately but should be a public and open celebration. This is why Hanukkahs are traditionally lit by the most visible window of one's home. Starting in the 1970s, this publicization of Hanukkah became even more widespread, thanks largely to the efforts of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which in turn triggered the lighting of public Hanukkah. The only exception to this is in times of danger and anti-Semitism. However, regarding the latter point, some argue that it may be especially important to publicize the mitzvah of Hanukkah. Chabad's Lubavitch Youth Organization director Rabbi Shmuel M. Buttman said as much in the lead-up to the lighting of the world's largest menorah, as recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records, in New York City in 2022, noting that there is currently a rise in anti-Semitic incidents and anti-Semitism being embraced by powerful and influential figures. Aside from candles, there are a number of other traditions associated with the holiday. One of these is playing Dreidel, a four-sided spinning top used for playful gambling. Also included are specific foods, such as gelt, chocolate coins, latkes, potato pancakes, and types of donuts like sufganiyot, typically jelly-filled, and sfinge, sweet fried donuts. Another more recent tradition is the idea of giving gifts, something believed to have been rooted in both Eastern European traditions of giving money and the modern Christmas traditions in the West of gift-giving. The latter is especially notable because Christmas and Hanukkah are frequently compared to one another, and many see Hanukkah as the Jewish Christmas, a comparison that often erroneously overinflates the importance of the holiday in Judaism. Indeed, a 2018 study by the Jewish People Policy Institute noted that American Jews tend to view Hanukkah as being far more important than Israelis do. Two-thirds of American Jews, 68%, view Hanukkah as one of the three most important holidays compared to roughly a third of Israeli Jews, 38%. What prayers do we say on Hanukkah? Hanukkah, unlike most other Jewish holidays, is not biblical, and thus, many of the common prayers seen during other holidays, like reciting Musaf, are not done. What is done, however, is the reciting of Hallel, a collection of psalms typically sung together in prayer services. There are times when Musaf is said on Hanukkah, but that is because Hanukkah always has days that fall on Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the new Hebrew month. The Torah is also always read on Hanukkah, typically short recitations from the Book of Numbers. However, unlike other holidays that fall on Shabbat, the typical Shabbat Torah reading is still read rather than replaced. This parasha is almost always Parashat Miketz in the Book of Genesis. Do you have to use oil candles on Hanukkah? No. You can use regular wick candles as well as oil when lighting the menorah on Hanukkah. You cannot, however, use electric lamps. When can I start lighting candles? Candles are always lit late into the day, usually at sundown, though others do it later. The exception is on Shabbat when the Hanukkah candles must be lit before the Shabbat candles, the latter of which must be lit at sundown. On Motzei Shabbat, when Shabbat ends, candle lighting is even later, as the candles must be lit after Shabbat fully ends and Havdalah is said, which can only be done when there are 3 stars in the sky.